an audience testifies that yes, indeed, this is the World Association of, small and medium scale enterprises. Correct. Correct.
One second. I wanted it because that's impacting on the face. Light comes in the face.
Great. Great. I see the commitment, the collective, support even from a speaker point to ensure that we have a very good session today. Let's applaud the earlier session. I think it was very insightful. It brought a lot of clarity to the subject of investment in the global sense. I'm happy to be moderating this particular panel. Farouk Khan is the name. I'm CEO of Premium African Holdings. We're a holding company. I'm also managing partner at Acorn Lighting. We have a renewable energy focus, emphasizing particularly on solar. I wear a few caps, and I'm also a very passionate member of the World Leaders Summit. So to delve straight to this session, which has to do with innovation, investment, and international trade. I'm happy I have Emmanuel Achungi, a fellow Ghanaian. I have Mr. Mustafa Sarah, a thriving entrepreneur who has done so much in the ecosystem in the UAE. We also have our brother here, also Madam Nancy, who has done incredibly well in the UAE in terms of quality control and all that. So to delve straight into the topic, I want to go to a senior colleague, Mustafa. Recently, I've also realized that you are really focusing on your global expansion. I also want to commend you for a very critical move you made in 2008, where you actually went all the way to India to establish a business, which I think brings clarity to the fact that you are a forerunner when it comes to international trade. I want to understand, how has the journey been for you in this journey of international trade, breaking the geographical boundaries to establish business across countries?
On an outset, of course, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me, and thank you, for asking me about this question. Our journey started in Dubai in 1958. When my father came and started a business over here. Of course, at that time in Dubai, there was no water supply, no electricity, no roads, and no cars. He landed in Sharjah, and there was no airport in Dubai, but Dubai is famous for now. As a child, I used to ask him, what made you come here and establish a business in such a difficult terrain and, without basic civil amenities, wherein compared to that, India was quite advanced at that time. We had our airline, train, air conditioning, telephone, everything. So he used to tell me that, we had a vision that this place will grow. And of course, prior to Dubai, my father was in Bahrain from 1944 to 58. So when Bahrain was more established than this region that time. As he mentioned that we had a vision this place will grow, I could not understand that as a child. But later on, when I did my PhD in leadership, I wrote in my thesis that vision is seeing the invisible. People saw as a desert village, with no basic civil amenities. The rulers of this region that time saw as a beautiful city coming out of it. And most importantly, it's not only the ruler who had seen this vision, every person living in Dubai were aligned with this vision. So that alignment of vision is very important in the business, also in the trade and development of the country. Coming to our expansion, we started as a building material company, and by royal decree of His Highness Sheikh Rashid, father of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, the current ruler of Dubai, we have been exempted from sponsor since 58. So just prior to 2 years, there was a sponsorship law. It just abolished 2 years, last 2 years, that we don't require a sponsor now. But earlier, any company in the mainland should have a 51% local sponsor. So we are one of the extremely few companies who have been exempted from sponsors. So this is an honor and privilege we have from them. His vision statement was based on quality. So whatever we deal in should be number one product in the world. So we are the custodians of premium brands in building materials and tools. I don't know if many of you know the power tool brand called Hilti. Hilti, it's called as the Rolls Royce of power tools. So we are the one who introduced Hilti in 1969 in Dubai, and we are the first agent in the entire Gulf. Later on, the agents were appointed in Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, Saudi, Oman. If you go in Sheffield in England, most of the premium tool companies like Bridle, Presto, Dormer, Moore and Wright, we are dealing with them for more than 60 years now. So his statement was based on quality. Then later on, we diversified into energy conservation. In 2004, we rewrote our vision statement. Of course, we instated what my father started with as quality and reinforced with sustainability. In 2004, I'm sure, not many of us have been talking about sustainability. And it was a very rare word used in few isolated places. We instated with sustainability and wrote in our vision statement that anything what we do should have a positive social impact on society, environment and people. So with that statement we move further, and any opportunity what we get, we look at the lens of sustainability first, and then we go deep dive into the economics. If the economics are too good and not sustainably qualified, so we don't go for it. So later on, in 2008, much before the downturn started in the third quarter from the US, in the first quarter, we started our operations in India. That time, India is a huge market we never had dealt earlier. Of course, 50-year-old businessman in Dubai, but the playground was new for us. So we started in Dubai, in India, with the same vision. So same year, we did a joint venture partnership with the manufacturing company in the US in GPS tracking device. So it's by far number one in the world. Continuing our vision statement, and that we introduced in India. Later on in 2014, we started manufacturing herbal cosmetics. Our factory of herbal cosmetics is in north of Delhi, in Uttarakhand. So it's no alcohol, no chemical, no animal products. It's made from pure essential oil. Later on in 2018, we started manufacturing a very frugal writing instrument. We started manufacturing pencils made out of waste newspaper. So no wood is used in this. Currently 400 million trees are cut globally only to make pencils. So yesterday's newspaper is today's rubbish. Even by evening it becomes rubbish. So, we roll and make pencils out of it. So currently we make 1.5 million pencils every day. And whatever pencils we make, that means less wood is cut. So we have this core values in our business that has helped us expanding globally. Earlier, prior to pandemic, we had 4 global offices. And from Dubai, India, and one in one in Rwanda, and one in Panama. When pandemic hit the world, we all got time to soul search and deep dive into our many things, and corrective things, but never got time earlier to slow down and have a reflection on it. So we thought that let's have our offices in all economic zones. So we never had presence in ASEAN countries. So we established one office in Singapore. In Commerso we had this, Rwanda. Africa is a huge continent. To govern from Rwanda to West Africa was a challenge. So we did one office in your home country as Ghana. So we have one office in Accra. Then we did one office in Latin America, in Uruguay, in Montevideo. I was invited by the president of of Uruguay, and I visited there. Even in Panama, I was invited by the president, and he initiated the office. From these, we have one office in Warsaw. In European Union, we didn't have any presence, so we did one in Warsaw on the east. We had a plan to do in UK, but then because of Brexit, we did in Rotterdam, and we have a small office in the UK, and one we did in Istanbul. Istanbul is not part of EU, but the merchant port is a gateway to all the cargoes to the Eastern European countries. So with this spread, we then continue the neighboring, exploring the neighboring countries. So what we do is we enter in every country with our two consumer products, pencils and herbal cosmetics, which are well accepted everywhere. Then with our experience of global trade and in trading, we identify the potholes and missing opportunities over there, and we fulfill with our global sourcing. So currently we have touch points in business in 130 countries. That has helped us to expand through this model. And this is I'm the second generation businessman. I'm continuing the legacy of my father. So this is how we initiated from our humble beginning in 1958, and currently we have business. Very soon we are opening office in Istan countries, all the Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, all Istan countries. I was invited by President of Uzbekistan to Tashkent, and very soon we are opening one in Tashkent to serve that region. So this regional offices helps us expanding in the neighboring countries.
Amazing, Jerry. Let's put our hands together for that. This is what we talk about, SME, outgrowing the original jurisdictions and going out there to conquer the world. Nancy, let me come to you. You've had amazing record in terms of work experience, over a decade of work at Abella, profound commitment to quality control. In Dr. Mustafa's submission, he mentioned about how they enter new territories with products and how they want to go, bearing in mind the local regulatory framework. How does an SME or even any business navigate through this dynamic, quality control regimes across the world? I mean, with your experience working with ADNOC and Nestle, I'm sure that you are very much, conversant with such a conversation when it comes to meeting quality control regulations in different jurisdictions. Can you elaborate on that for us, please?
Absolutely, thank you very much, and it's my pleasure to be here with you today. Sorry, my voice is a little bit not great. In fact, one thing I would like to add to the introduction, that I had the opportunity to work on different continents, and now I have a leg in Dubai, and I have a leg in Saudi, and a leg in Dublin. So your story is great, because I see from the stories of the companies in Dublin what is really needed for small and medium companies to grow, which is really having kind of systems and standards in place. And I think this is really what's going to make them sustainable in the future. Now, companies, when they want to ramp up their operation, when they start and they want to grow, they need to have a foundation, and that will help them be resilient. If I want to say that in 3 words, I would say focus on their purpose, on their vision, focus on their process, and focus on their culture. Right? So it's very important to have these 3 elements. We focus on young people, we develop your people, give them the right skills, to have the right knowledge and right skills to be able to do whatever you're going to have to ask them to do, and whatever you're going to bring them new products and services, new markets. So they need to be able to quickly adapt to those changes. And then you give them the process, and in the process you give them the standards, you give them everything they need, the knowledge of the new products, the new markets, the requirements, the compliance requirements that are needed to be able to deliver that to you. And that knowledge comes from knowing those countries, knowing the requirements, knowing the trade association requirements and the international laws. So all this is very important to be able to continue your development. And I think keeping an eye on your purpose, keeping an eye on your vision, having a vision that's going to lead all of that. There are a lot of models. I moved from quality control to quality management and then to excellence, and I see that excellence frameworks usually helps organization. Sometimes we feel they are really for big organizations, they're not. They're really a great foundation for small medium companies to start something which is going to help them to become more resilient in the future. The risk of small companies and medium companies is sometimes that whenever there are changes, they are shaken quickly. and we need to give them that foundation. The fact that there are a lot of challenges that the SMEs face, that negates them sometimes from giving that focus, which could be 5 and 10%. It doesn't have to be giving 60 or 50 or 70% to that. But starting something solid will help them, I think, have steady growth and be facing those challenges and become more resilient. And during the pandemic, we noticed how important it is to have a foundation. I was doing a training online here with US company, and a couple of weeks after the pandemic started, they had their masks, they were operational, 100% operational, able to have online trainings and welcome other people in their facility from across the globe. Looking at what they're doing, that was really good. And was really great even, because they had that resilience. And what gave them that is that they had good processes, good systems, good foundation in place, and people who are resilient enough to take those challenges. So I think it's very important for SMEs to focus on building that. And that will take them definitely to good quality standards, and whenever they have to pass quality controls, quality assurance, they'll be able to do that easily because they have that foundation. It takes time, and I think the previous speaker mentioned the being catalyst, so you have to have those elements in place, and that will help you become more sustainable and all of the other elements you need for your growth in the future. So that's my answer. Thank you.
Brilliant submission. One point I was profound: excellence, quality control leads to excellence in business. Let me come to you, Emmanuel. You are at the front line. You are doing a lot of frontline advocacy in terms of incorporating technology in our scheme of things as business people. Innovation is here, disruption is inevitable. You might be having a business strategy today, you wake up in the next couple of days, and then based on the new technology, your business is at its highest risk level. How would you make a submission on how innovation is very critical to sustaining ourselves in this global space of, embarking on an international, journey as the way we expand and the way we do business?
All right, thank you very much, Emmanuel, Chairman and CEO of the Cosmos Group. The question you asked is exactly what we do in my company. What we do is that we advocate for this changing technological advancements that's happening in the world, and we educate SMEs. What we do is that we do the advocacy, we educate them, we train them, and we also develop the technologies they need that can help them leverage in this changing era, technological era innovation. We also encourage them to innovate because they have to understand the global dynamics and understand how things are changing speedily. Another thing we do to help SMEs is that we connect them to global partners that have the technology they need that can help them to actually maximize whatever they're doing and their potential. And we also create the access to the market because sometimes what they need is technology transfer, not necessarily funded. We had a scenario where there was an SME that required funding, but when we did analysis of what they needed, it was actually has to do with technology, it has to do with innovation, it has to do with access to market, basically. So it wasn't the capital problem that they had. So these are some of the things we do. We do education, we do training, we do capacity building, and help them to understand the global market, and help them to leverage the right technology and also to innovate the right way.
Brilliant. At times you hit on a very salient point. At times SMEs don't need capital. There's always that tendency to think that it's capital, it's money we need, but we need systems that would actually ensure that you maximize on your efficiencies. Pilar, let me get to you now. As a young entrepreneur in every sense, like we all say, this panel is particularly focused on international trade, and I'm sure as a young man you have a vision to actually have that global presence and dominance. What are you doing as an SME at this level to ensure that you are able to scale up, and also not just scale up and be able to attract some of this international capital that is flying around?
Thank you. Myself, I'm Manu Mohan. I'm the head of international department in Dhaka. I had a golden opportunity to work with many SME, especially like the previous slide of leader. I can proudly say that. Because not only in the Indian market, we have so many SMEs like already capturing the rest of the world also. So main target should be as being a person who is in this international trade for the last 10-15 years. I can say that many of the SMEs are just still struggling to find a way to have a breakout. Especially like if you take India and Bangladesh also, there is a huge revolution which is remarkable. And especially in a country like Bangladesh, we don't know like how they are like. So it's a kind of case study which it has to be done. So SMEs should be knowing the proper market before targeting a country or before targeting a company. They should be having knowing what are the products or how to position their product. So that is something most of the people which I think they are lacking. So if they don't know the product or market study, then they can take it from a consultant or any outsource or if they can go via a dealer or something. But that understanding the market culture, and if you have a good product and you are able to position that product properly, then there is a huge potential in the commercial. But you have to be completely aware about the regulations and complaints of that country, or else it will backfire.
Thank you very much. Nancy, let me come to you, Nancy. Something came up in the submission so far. As somebody who has transitioned from, being with Abella to now consulting, I'm sure there's already that understanding appetite to deal with major big multinational companies. As a consultant, what are you doing in terms of, helping SMEs? Because we might not be the ones that are very attractive to consultants in terms of, budget restraint. I know that yes, indeed, in the line of work that you do, there's a lot of SMEs that come to you. How are you able to, yes, do the sacrifice of, yes, saying, okay, I've had conversations with people who have actually made it a point that, Farouk, I'm not dealing with no SMEs, I'm going for the big ticket, companies. How are you able, because SMEs need a lot of support. And SME does not always mean small in, medium might also be quite significant in size. How are you really handling this?
Thank you for the question. I was not expecting this question. This is exactly what I'm focusing on is SMEs, in fact. We started a model a couple of months back in Dublin, a company for online subscription model for consultancy for SMEs to be able to give them that tailor-made support and when they need it specifically. Because they cannot even give time. It's not about money only. They cannot give time. They don't need maybe long projects. They don't need to have those big systems. They need to start small. They need to build everything they do gradually. They need to digitalize. They need to be sustainable. But they need to build that based on the resources they have. So you need to tailor-make that for them. So what we decided as a value-driven company is to be able to support them, and we are giving that because our focus is not also. All companies want to sustain and gain, right? And have profit and growth. But we want to do it in a way where we can provide value. And being in I mentioned Ireland. In Ireland, they're focusing a lot on SMEs, and you see support from the government, and you see also a lot of support on building a foundation which is strong and sustainable for the future. You see, they focus on a lot on lean and these kind of systems that are very important. And to do that, you don't require a lot of resources, but you need to have kind of a vision to do that. And working with government entities, working with getting the support also in the ecosystem to do that is very important for the consultant and for them. And I think this could be facilitated. From a consultant, I enjoy working with, because I'm hands-on person, so I like it. I really like working with them. It's not about copy-paste, it's about giving them what they need. And that needs to be built gradually, slowly, and having a solid foundation, like I said, and that's what I'm focusing on. So thank you for your question.
That's good. Thank you very much. Let me come to Dr. Mustafa. You find yourself domiciled in a region where policy framing is very rapid. You wake up the next morning, there's a new policy which actually is in a positive direction to ensure that businesses thrive. As somebody who has an international view of business, what do you see is it that the UAE in particular is doing right that has ensured that SMEs thrive? Those from the outside are able to come here to also do business. What is the magic? What is the government, the policy framers in the UAE doing to ensure that SMEs outside also be able to, have their footprint here?
In fact, if you look at the landscape of the business scenario in the UAE is an exemplar in the whole world on inviting SMEs and creating an ecosystem where people can thrive. See, 91% of the population in the UAE are expatriates. So they all came looking at the economic values. Nobody came to enjoy the desert over here. So, they came looking at the economic values. Of course, now Dubai has, in the last 20 years, has emerged as a beautiful destination for tourism and many other things. But, they created an ecosystem where every person can get an opportunity to thrive. And this has made Dubai as what Dubai is today. SMEs, and you said there's a rapid changing system. I will not say as our company as a local or global, we are a global company. So we have a global vision, but always we are focused on the local terrain and local laws and bylaws of the countries where we operate. So thus, we need to be very agile in adopting the systems. Now, I don't think that any country comes up with any of their objectives which are anti-business or they are just calibrating it to suit the maximum, and they see that no leakage or none of the malpractices or something it has to stop if it is there. So the calibrations in the law are, if you deep down and look into it, are always for a good cause. Some may think it is negative to them, but overall it is in majority of the trade and finance. Like in last 2 years, there was an abolition of sponsorship law. That came because UAE signed WTO, and the beneficiary has to be declared, and being 51% owner as a local, he becomes an automatic beneficiary. All the liabilities and everything is passed to him. So looking at that, they abolished. At that time, we were thinking how it's going to manage thousands and thousands of locals who are major income of them is sponsorship benefits. So how will that manage? But looking at the big picture, it was in the interest of the country, interest of the business, and even in the interest of the locals. So every law, if you deep dive, because prior to my PhD in leadership, I've done 2 masters in emotional intelligence and criminology from UK. One of my tutor was ex-MI6. So that when we deal with this kind of things, it becomes very easy to adopt. And of course, when you are on the right path, it's just you need to calibrate it. The right direction is very important, because Mahatma Gandhi has said in his book, your speed is irrelevant if your direction is wrong. So, the direction is very important, and that will help you accelerate. Coming back to, one of the transformational thing what you asked about the laws and the thing, SMEs undergo 4 stages. First, when they start the business, it's the one person's vision, an idea, he starts that business. So the person is called in the business. Every activity of the business touches him, or even if he has 1 or 2 helping hands, or how many staff they have, but every activity of the business is touching him, and that says that nothing happens without my decision or my intervention. So that is the first stage. That stage has to evolve, and that person has to come in from in the business to on the business. He has to appoint a manager who will delegate things of the day-to-day activity, free himself to attend seminars, exhibitions, look for a vertical expansion or horizontal expansion, and everything you require time. for this. Unless you don't free yourself from this, you will not get time to think. Many times we see people say, oh, today I was so busy. So what were you doing? I was handling the cash. So that cash can be handled by a cashier who can be for $1,000 as a salary, and you can free yourself and do many other things. So that on the business is very important. Now once you have see the word designation in the business has a meaning. When you appoint a manager, he is not a strategic decision maker. He manages what you delegate. So he manages. Now second evolution after that, you have to have a BOD, Board of Directors. So Board of Directors will take a strategic decisions. You appoint a CEO, and CEO then undertakes the responsibility. So these are all evolution, and though the opening statement of this wonderful the summit today and the seminar started with Dr. Abraham's question of 90%. So though SMEs are 90%, they don't have significance because they are short-lived. Unless you don't make it live longer, you cannot have impact. So SMEs, I will say, as they are primary and secondary in the school. So I would never like to be only the primary and secondary and then considered as a dropout. No, I would like to go to the higher secondary and then to the university and then further as my ability permits. So this awareness for SMEs to grow is very important. And unless they don't grow, they die out, and that's the major reason for the financial institutions not helping SMEs because of their short lifespan.
Very good, very good. One very interesting combination, emotional intelligence and criminology. I wonder if in your company you have any issues of theft, because you're on top of the issues there.
If you allow me, I will tell you the reason for me choosing this, because they are both offstream of education. When my father started business in 58, there were no strong process and control in the business. It was a homegrown company. All nephews of my father working in and relatives were working in. And there was a lot of leakage in the business due to lack of process and control. There were no SOPs in the business. So, but those days, margins and volumes were so high that even after those leakages, balance sheets were very healthy. So, as a child, I used to observe something is going wrong, but as a child, I don't have anything. So, I studied criminology, and all our offices have very strong process and control. Within that process and control, they have all the liberty to perform. And I always tell my people that why don't think controls as something which are barrier for you. Let's say what controls all the organs of our body is mind. Now if mind doesn't control the organs, my hand will move without my will, which is called Parkinson. So the control mechanisms are necessary for the business, but they don't consider as a hindrance. Consider that as within the parameters within that what so you have all the liberty. And emotional intelligence I studied because, see, we are originally from India. In India, if you hire people, it's from Kashmir to Kerala or Assam to Gujarat. Because that is also very diverse. But in Dubai, all those plus 200 nationalities. So at one point of time, we had 35 nationalities working for us. And everybody will agree in this hall, the most challenging asset to manage in any industry or any company is human resource. If lights disturbing at a press of a button, we can make it off. AC disturbing at a press of a button, we can make it. The humans, they don't have on-off button. They work on emotion, promotion, awards, rewards. So so emotional intelligence on dealing with people. Now, people working for a different culture is a great challenge. Because one accent in one culture is acceptable. The same accent is prohibited in another culture. So if they are communicating and if that person's accent, the other person thinks it's offending me, will always create a friction. So but when you have an understanding on different cultures, no, he's behaving like this because he's built like this. He's not offending me. So that helps a harmony in the company, and our company is very culturally rooted and very process centric. So with this, both the things, it has helped me in our business.
There's a master class. Emmanuel, we want to go international. We have a vision, we've drawn the vision, it's time to pivot, we're here, the appetite is high, we're taking all the matrix in terms of, having global presence. Now, payments, currency, differentiation becomes a major concern for any company that's seeking to have international presence. You are a blockchain evangelist in the right sense. How do we, in terms of technology, be able to leverage on what new technology offers, how we can synchronize payments and currency concerns across board, so that it helps us to be very efficient on this journey of international trade and global presence.
All right, thank you very much. This is one of the major challenges we face when it comes to you actually going global. And it's also a major challenge even in Africa, right? That's where I come from. So we have the African Continental Free Trade Area, and they made a lot of efforts to be able to bridge this gap and be able to get this situation established what we call the PASS, African Payment Settlement System. It's able to transfer money to another country and get your own currency. So that's something that has been demonstrated and it works. Apart from that, the blockchain can also be leveraged to do this. And I know some of the banks that are using this because we advocated for that for many years. Through this, we started an association in Ghana, the Ghana Fintech Association, just to be able to bring together all the good brains, come together, develop solutions that can help in terms of payment. Because most of these startups and most of these SMEs face with challenges. At the moment I speak to you, we're able to import things from even Rwanda. So Rwanda is actually importing coffee to Ghana. We have factories from Kenya also going through Africa just because of these barriers that have been lifted. And Africa is doing so many to deal with these challenges in Africa. My company will also advocate for these things. We develop solutions for that, and we're actually advocating for that and making sure the companies leverage this technology. We work with partners, even in Nigeria. We have Flutter. Flutter is one big firm when it comes to fintech in Africa. So it helps to also transfer money seamlessly. You're able to transfer money and you still retain your currency. So these are solutions that are coming up because of the challenges that we face when it comes to going global and actually trading internationally.
Great. Pillar, let me source your opinion on data management is a very important tool when it comes to driving a business, because you need information. You need to process information. What are the dynamics? What is the market moving to? What are the numbers looking like? In your line of work, as working with SMEs, what is the commentary? How are you able to let SMEs understand that capturing data is very integral part of what you do, managing the data is very integral, using the data to make decisions in terms of growing a business and pivoting? How are you making this, transfer of knowledge to SMEs and ensuring that they also embrace it and, incorporate that in their businesses?
That's a good question actually. So data is the fundamental of everything. This is what I believe personally, because without data and analysis you cannot do anything, right? So if you are being a small company or a medium company, whatever, it doesn't matter if you don't have a program analysis on data, just like what you said. So the main problem small and medium companies faces is only because of the lack of proper process analysis which they have. Yeah. So what we have to do is that there should be a proper analysis of the data and of the country which you are going to target, or the area or the continent which you are going to target. So you should be having how the country moves to a particular product and how you are going to position your product in that particular country. Then you can approach the customer. See, right now in a digital era, everything is digital, right? So you should be having a good digital marketing. So from there, then the customer will be having more easy to reach out to you, right? So that digital marketing will become your face. So from there itself also you will be getting more data, right? So then you have to analyze which is the proper one which you have to take and which is the one you will be like, see, there are so many times what happened, the data which will be you having, you have to scrutinize that data. Because it is like something what you can't rely on 100%. So you have to do regular kind of experiments, you have to do different kind of tactics, strategies and try out and try to reach out to them and collect as maximum data you can, then work on it. Because like a company like from India, then sitting in India and they have to do lots of business in abroad, then there are so many concerns like just like Emmanuel mentioned, payment concerns are there, like most of the time fraudulent happen. So all these you have to study about that particular company, particular background, whether they are financially credible or not. So you have to understand all those factors based on what data would be. So collect as maximum data you can, work on it, then make a strategy and make an action plan.
Great point. At the earlier panel, Professor Chris made a very important when he displayed some global giant organizations. These are companies that were started by individuals, and over the years they outgrew the individuals, became global giants and everything. In my line of work as an entrepreneur, I've made it a call that I want my companies to stand the test of time. And one of the biggest ways to do that is to be able to get on something we call the stock exchange. Get listed on the stock exchange, where you open yourself for people to be able to bring capital, invest in your company. It's been proven that stock markets allow companies to outgrow and it's not a culture that SMEs have been able to understand. Dr. Mustafa is doing an incredible job of taking a business from his father and driving it to this point, and I'm sure he's building his kids to also take it from there. What are some of the ways? Because attracting investment is a big part of business and SME growth. We want to be international, involved in international trade. I have identified one of them. Getting this step, so my presence here in the UAE recent times, to be able to understand the NASDAQ Dubai, to be able to see how do we list some of the companies that I'm a part of. It's about outgrowing, staying the test of time. The World Association of SME is 43 years old, which means that yes, it's proven to be on a long journey. We want businesses to also come and say they are 43 years old and more. Nancy, how do we do this? How are we, this is a closing, round. How are we able to ensure that businesses, through excellence, quality control, stand the test of time and outgrow its founders?
I think this goes back to one of the keywords on the theme of this panel today is innovation. One of it. It's really not necessarily always to innovate always, but to be able to remain relevant, to be able to remain always on the top of things, be competitive, whether we do it through digitalization or through innovation or any other things that you focus on. So it's important for companies, I think, to keep not reinventing themselves, but at least to remain relevant. So they have always the right things that the customer is looking for. Goes back also to data and being able to understand the customer and how the customer trends are changing. A couple of I think months back there was a conference about food safety, and I was so impressed by the data that they were capturing from customers and how the customer trends are moving. And I don't think many of us in the room didn't understand that. So understanding the market, understanding the customer, understanding trends, how the habits of customers are changing is very important for companies to remain relevant. And I think keeping up with the changes in the technology, with the requirement of new systems, new standards, new developments is all very important for them to remain relevant in the future. Thank you.
Let's get your take on that.
So, what I would be like to counter and to convince that just like Mr. Ajit said earlier, be a catalyst, be open, be flexible, so whatever the things will be having, we are the opportunity.
Alright, Mr. Mustafa.
Well, foundational values are very important for the SMEs. I will say that, when you see the welcome, ma'am. When we see Burj Khalifa, we see the world tallest towering structure. But what we can't see is on the foundation what it is standing. So for SMEs, my very humble request, and through the one of the biggest platform of SMEs in the world, WASME, this foundation to the SMEs is so important that on that they will build a future. And foundation is one thing that once it is done, you can't do it again. So once you decided for 50-story foundation, while going you can't think of having 100. So it is all has to be in the vision earlier. Of course, out of the firefighting of the SMEs, you have to take time out and focus on the foundation, which will help. Now coming on the data thing, there is a bombardment of data. So sanitizing of the data analysis, data semantics, and the relevant data to you. Because data alone doesn't mean anything unless it is not transformed into meaningful reports. So that meaningful reports will help the SME leader or the owner take quality decisions. So that conversion of the sanitization of the data, then semantics analysis, and then from the reports they can take decisions. Like we have consumer product. We make herbal cosmetics, we make all three products, hair, body and face. So every touch points what we have a system where we have the data of the consumer behavioral pattern. So we know which fragrance he likes, we know what type of shampoo they use, what type of this. So if we have something similar to this in the new, the notification goes to them. Or if we have something the stocks are going to exhaust, the notification goes to them that you should better buy it before the stock exists. Because many a time we have seen, even though after doing all the systems in place for making sure that the consumers are not out of stock, we do face situations where sometimes the shipments are delayed or something happens. So all these things, the notification and consumer behavioral pattern only comes from the data analysis and the data semantics.
Emmanuel.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I think that this has impact on even the investment the SMEs receive. Because we've had instances where investor wants to understand how sustainable the business is, the vision of the business, and how excellent is their delivery. So I think that this also has connection with investment because they check all that. And these things can be done using the technology, innovation, and all that. The blockchain can do all this, deploy patterns. Not only the systems that we use to even do the AML checks to know where the funds are coming from and all that. So I think the most important thing is the foundation, as you rightly said, the core values of the SMEs and the vision. Most of the SMEs, as you said, that yes, they make up about 90%, but we don't see their significant impact. The reason is the vision and the core values. But if they have it rooted, if the SMEs have it rooted, I believe that they can go global. SMEs in Africa can go global because we checked and realized that we really see a lot of African companies, SMEs that go global and they stay in the market for so many years. The reason is the vision and the core values. So I think that when these things are set, they leverage the right technology. And my company, what we also do is that we look for the right partner. And that's why we work with Rated, we work with World Leaders Summit and other partners to make sure that at least African entrepreneurs and African SMEs learn from global partners. And they are able to at least share ideas and learn the value system that will help them to stay in the business for so many years. Thank you.
We've been joined by a beautiful woman, Patricia from Congo. She's also very passionate about driving SME conversations. You're welcome. Your colleagues have done some good justice to the topics, but Patricia, we would like to solicit for your opinion in terms of SME development, even from the Congo perspective. What is the commentary like? What is the narrative like? Because the conversation has always been about international trade, SMEs being able to outgrow their original jurisdictions. Some of us have a big appetite. I'm sure some people here would also want to understand what is the framework of SME development in Congo? So if you can help us with that.
I'm so sorry for coming late. I was at a corporate health session this morning. So firstly, my name is Patricia Valentina. I'm now based in Dubai, just 6 months, but I work in Africa for more than 20 years. I lead a holding that more than focus on women economic empowerment. I'm launching the first taxi cabs for women in DRC and now in 5 countries. Women driver, but we drive also we are gender equality. I am launching a brand company, modern developed African brand, and plus now we are working to launch the first women bank in Africa. So go back. I also have a PhD in public administration and entrepreneurship. I sit at the B20 Indian Leadership Council. I'm a co-chair for the Leadership Council of Harvard University Center for African Studies. So this is what I did the last 20 years. To come back to the question, I love to say, we're talking about SME. I know what you say about the vision and as well going global, but I don't. By my side, I love to say it's not just about the vision and the core value. It's more than in terms of for women entrepreneur. It's more than about finance, because we cannot empower women. We love to see, even during the COP, the discussion is all about the economic women empowerment economy, but how can you empower the people you don't give funds to scale the business and to go global? You can have a good vision, you can have a good product, you can have a good core value, but if you don't have a fund to scale your business, you will never go global. This is the first thing we have. And the second thing, like you said, the partner. Because one of the issues most of the, I would say, startup and SME, they face, because the lack of funding, they just accept any kind of investor. By that investor, they don't come into your business because of your vision, but because they see there is, I know where I'm going to earn more, this lady should work hard. And the most of SME in Africa, they fail not because of the vision or because of the core values, because just they pick up the wrong partner, firstly, and secondly, because they don't have access to the finance. And this was the reason why we have decided to launch the first digital women bank to allow women to get access to the fund, because this is the only way we can create job opportunity and also help them to become global. Because the globalization is all about funding. No funding, no global. No matter how your product is good, And so I think today to help SME to go to another level, we have to talk about the finance of SME. The funds. When we talk about the finance of SME, now we can say, okay, the SME, they have the funds to investment to go global, and then can we align with the vision? Can we align with the core value? And this is the only way I think we can scale to another level and be global.
Oh, very salient points. We wish we had joined us earlier because you've made some very great, submission. Thank you very much, Patricia. We love what you just said. The conversation will go on the sidelines of this, conference, and because based on the next sessions that we want to have, we will extend the conversation. Thank you very much for sitting through this session. It's been very impactful. I've learned about collaboration, technology, core values. We've also understood quality control leads to excellence. Pilar has talked to us about research and data management. So I'm sure we've learned a lot. Thank you very much. Looking forward to the next panel. All right.
Thank you, panelists, for such a wonderful insight. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our panelists. Now, for the presentation time, may I invite Mr. Zilur Rahman. Mr. Zilur Rahman to please felicitate our moderator, Mr. Farooq Helanan.
Sir, excuse me. Sir, excuse me. Can you come little center? No, it's not visible actually. Thank you. Sir.
Next, may I request Mr. Farooq Kalalan to facilitate Mr. Emmanuel Apsi.
Bro, सारना कर दे.
To Dr. Mustafa Sasa. To Mr. Manuel Pillai. To Nancy Nome. And to Dr. Patricia.